Welcome to Roundel Live, and we're going to try a new sort of format. We're going to check what's on Manx forums, react to the biggest stories of the day. Are you up for it?
Certainly am.
Let's do it. So, Manx forums at the moment. Well, we're actually pre-recording this episode, as you can probably guess. We're trying to trick you by wearing different clothes, but we can't.
You've blown it. So there we are. I mean, Frank, you are an administrator, aren't you, for Manx forums? And what is it? There's thousands and thousands of
we have about
visitors.
We have about, I think, 10,000 registered users. They're not all on there, like we said in one of the previous episodes, but we still get a lot of news stories posted on there and discussed about. And I think it's nice if we look up on there once in a while and have a quick look through what's the biggest stories of the week are.
Well, it's like a league table, isn't it? I'm not too familiar with this until I've started sitting next to you, and I'm just seeing a lot of activity. It's almost like it's a never-ending news feed. Is that right?
Yeah, you just start new topics and then discuss them, and then as interest fades, it will drop off the page, and then.
And if anyone is wanting to know who Frank is, it's Amadeus, isn't it? Amadeus.
Yes,
but
you're the admins.
You're like a regulator, so you are going to be on with other people, and this is to look out for any liability issues and what have you.
Yeah, it's basically to run the place, moderate the place, and keep things civilized as much as we can.
Okay. Well, I'll just look at the league table, and at number one, we've got Westmoreland Village, which is this interesting development up round at the old hospital. That's got to be a good thing, isn't it?
I love it. It's really good. Obviously, we in council, we deal with MDC, and we like what MDC does, from at least the people I speak to. And to see this project up there in Westmoreland Road, it's great. We need more projects like it, I would say.
Well, that sort of neighbourhood at times looks like a right dump, and looking at the artist impression and whatever it is, the drawings, it's certainly something to behold. And it's going to be about 130 houses, which are going to be perhaps more affordable than the usual developments that we get on the Isle of Man.
And it's part of they even mentioned it in there, part of the planned 20-minute city. Usually it's a 15-minute city, actually, but. And that's nice because it means everything you do in your everyday life should be within a 15 or 20-minute radius. So work, shopping, health, everything. You shouldn't really need a car. You should be able to walk everywhere. And that's a nice way to incorporate that. It's good thinking, and it's a great project.
And it'll stimulate all the business around there as well, won't it?
Yeah, they're going to have offices, they have more businesses there, and it looks really, really good. I love it.
So we can check that one out. So one of the most active threads, so I'm looking here, we've got over 3,000 replies, 150,000 views. It's kind of related to what you do, more uselessness from Douglas Borough Council.
That's an ever ongoing threat. Let's avoid that.
But it's something you'll just check in just to see what's going on, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, I do check it once in a while, and I try and answer questions wherever I can.
Yeah, and it's just people praising what a great job.
Now, there's one other topic actually that popped up recently.
Hang on, great rate rises. That's coming up. So it's that time of year, isn't it, where the local authorities are announcing their interest, their rates of increase. What have you got there, Frank?
The other topic, if you go a bit further down, Peggy.
Oh God,
that's a bit of a.
Oh dear.
5 million to build a new place for that vessel. Is that money well spent?
I'm not a fan, being someone who's managed tourists for over a decade.
Yeah, is that a tourist attraction? Would you bring people to see that?
I did.
Is it worth 5 million?
I did, but I'm afraid it's the same old theme that when you're handling visitors who've come to the island, so it could be that they're off a cruise ship or they're visiting the island for a few days, and you've got that responsibility to show them our crown jewels. So, of course, you go to the Sound, which is absolutely beautiful. Yes. You'll take them around the TT course and show some of the elements of that, and then you'll do Castle Rushen, and then you used to pop into the Peggy, but it didn't quite resonate unless you're a real anorak and have got some sort of interest in nautical history.
Remind me again what the story is about for anyone who knows or doesn't know.
Well, it's an artifact, and it's got a particular kind of design or style. It's
see, we don't even, and we promote the island and deal with tourists, and we're not even 100% sure. If it was a massive attraction that anyone knows, then surely we would know all the details because we would bring lots of people there and feature it and talk about it.
But... Well, I'll tell you straight. Okay, for instance, one of the crown jewels is Castle Rushen, isn't it?
Yes,
So the most
absolutely.
beautiful medieval preserved castle going.
Yeah.
If you like castles, this is the one. And I've taken, I'd say thousands of people to the castle. I've gone round with them, but quite often I'll just go for a coffee whilst they do the 45 minutes. When they come out, there's no one really jumping for joy saying that is the greatest kind of thing I've ever seen.
Mm.
You know, and I think we're kind of kidding ourselves with what we've got. I mean, even the Laxey wheel. So the interest with the Laxey wheel is that when it's turning, which it is now, is you go up to the top, you have a nice view, and there is a bit of stimulation. It's something different. It's something that you're not going to see, but it's okay. It's not accessible though, isn't it? Because if you've got any mobility problems, it's quite difficult to manage your way around there. And it's the same with the castles, but we just need to move with the times. So
what would you suggest? I mean, outside we have to TT, but there's only so many laps of the course you can do with people.
I think I'm not saying that you should Disneyfy these attractions. I think people are more intelligent than that. But I think you've got to generate and create the story. And I think you've got to have like music. You've got to have a bit more, what can I say, improvisation from the people that run it. You know, perhaps a bit of acting, setting a scene, or a bit of history, or theme weeks, or things like that.
Take what we have, but make it jazz it up.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've got the likes of, say, the steam railway, coming into Castletown, and you kind of think, well, there's a bit of a Harry Potter thing going on there with the castle, but not all year round, but something that you could do. But for me, our biggest asset, or one of our biggest assets, is the coastal path. And
what would you do with that, though?
If you put 5 million into the coastal path and made it a 105-mile must-do activity, so you do get the T-shirt, you do check into waypoints, you kind of get timed, you can ride it on a pedal cycle, but at the moment it's not really navigable. It's quite difficult to get around, and it could be an absolute gem in the middle of the Irish Sea. So, for instance, one of our greatest spots is Marine Drive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's what's photographed every time you see anything about the Isle of Man. Some footage about cars and movies and things like that. It's always Marine Drive, and this is what the Edwardians treasured. They invested a lot up there, and we just treat it like it's rubbish.
Should we maybe try? Because I remember, just to mention, Edwardians and Victorians as well. They had some fantastic attractions. There was this, not a cable car, sort of an elevator on the promenade going up.
A funicular.
Funicular.
That's the one.
Wasn't there a railway on Marine Drive as well?
Yeah.
Should we maybe rebuild those kind of Victorian things and run a Victorian, themed Victorian, build it as it was and proper with costumed staff and everything?
I think first of all we just need to just make what we've got smart and usable. So such as the coastal paths and what have you. I think they're irresistible and would be a real attraction if someone said, right, you must come to the Isle of Man and do the coastal walk and have it marketed as that. Because
that's quite a long walk.
Not really, but you have people going to the Pyrenees doing these pilgrimages and things like that, and there's other places. There's like Hadrian's Wall, there's like the Pennine Way. So why can't we have the Manx? Well, it's the coastal footpath, Radna Follen, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we've got it, but we just need to tidy it up. But I think for investing in steam railways, and I don't know about that because they're so expensive. Maybe, though, you've got this like steampunk market. You've got this Victoriana kind of fashion. Maybe have some weekends that are themed around that. I don't think we've got the cash. Although we have got the cash, because they've just said they're going to spend $5,000 on this particular exhibit. So it's a tricky one, really.
$5 million on the Peggy.
5 million, yeah. Sorry about that.
To build a little place for that boat, which seems excessive. Can't we just give it to the Nautical Museum in London or something? Some museums are going to have space for it, right? I think 5 million in this climate is... People are not going to be understanding of that.
Okay, if we want to improve the visitor market, we must coordinate it with what our society needs. So, for instance, we've got our young people who complain that, and rightly so, that perhaps there isn't a great deal to do, okay? And I think you could actually say, when you look at how much investment has there been in the last 5 years or 10 years into things to do on the Isle of Man recreation-wise, and there's very little. Okay, I'd say South Barrule is great, isn't it? And that's private investment around there. You know, the laser mayhem and the quad biking and that sort of area. That is absolutely wonderful. But we haven't really got anything to hang our hat on, certainly in Douglas. And you need something that will bring people to the island and people who've got money and people that can have fun. So, for instance, have you seen this Eden project in Morecambe? They're going to put 30 million into there, and we could actually capture something from that because the boat is only up the road, and you never know. We could just maybe.
But why? That's the reason. That's always the question outside of TT. Why would I come here as a tourist?
For me, walking beauty. There is the artifacts, the history, but it's only a limited market. It's only got a limited time, really. This, we seem to be banking on this silver market, and a lot of people, if they've got a choice of going to Munich, for instance, for the weekend, having beer and all kinds of fun, people, choose that. So I think for the Isle of Man, I think if we did have, cheap beer, things to do, entertainment, good hotels, and some sort of activity. I mean, I love the old, imagine if you had the massive zip wire, a must do. Or, for instance, if you had the mountain bike trails up at the top of Snaefell, and you go up on the tram, and you'd have like a mountain bike track going into Laxey, into Peel, into Ramsey, but this has been discussed, and I know it's been discussed at high level, and they just say no.
So it's the civil service that are access.
Yeah, no, we can't do it. I've been there. I've sat around the meetings. I won't talk about that any further. It's just it absolutely kills you. But no, it's a tough one. But £5 million, have we got it? I think we need some private help with that one, don't we?
Yeah, it seems excessive in this climate. Maybe 15 years ago when we had that big VAT money pot, it would have been a different thing. But then they were wasting money on other things. So 5 million. How are you gonna tell people who need to go to the food bank that we spend 5 million to house an old boat?
It's the likes of
justify it.
It's the likes of the swimming pools, where there's going to be significant investment in the pools. But honestly, Frank, who is actually going swimming that you know? The people that I know that swim go in the sea.
Not many.
I don't know. If you look at those MHKs that took part in the debate about the swimming pools, so say at the 24 of them, how many of them go swimming? I don't see it. I think between the age of 20 and 60, people are going to the gym, they're doing cycling. The fact that swimming is good for you is we're going back to the Victorians, aren't we?
Yeah.
And days.
See, that's another thing we should do. So Victorian times, because I dig all these old Victorian tourist things, and we can totally get sidetracked, but that's a good thing. I would love to have these old Victorian sea swimming pools, these concreted out into the sea kind of things that we still see.
There's one at Peel, there's one Port Erin.
There's even one in Douglas down by the lighthouse. I'd love to have them restored and run like Victorians with like Victorian attractions, Victorian food. People want these days. I'm not a tourist expert, but I go by what I like to see and what my wife likes to see when we travel, and we traveled a lot. We want experiences. I want to experience something that's Instagrammable. That's probably top of the bloody list. And that is fun. And then I look back to it and say, that was awesome. We went to this place and they did, we were dressed up like Victorians and we were on a steam thing. And
we did the death slide.
Yeah, we did
the Snaefell mountain bike run. We got taken up on the tram. It's just so obvious, isn't it?
From it. Yeah, it has to be, everything has to be Instagrammable. And being this pretty island, I think, is not enough in itself, because islands are pretty, Lake District's pretty, and all of them, you can just drive there if you live in the UK, and you don't have to take a boat and take days to get here, and maybe not even get back and all those things. So I think, we need to jazz it up.
And there's only a few limited amount of places where you'd actually want to stay, I'm afraid. The hotels are...
Well, it's getting better. Hotels, I think, are getting better. It's thanks to the TT resurgence and all that kind of thing. But we'd still need a lot more hotels.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the prom, if you do look at some of the hotels that are perhaps a little bit tired, they're getting quite fatigued at the moment.
Well, we have a few nice new ones.
Oh, we do? Yeah, we do. We do. I mean,
some people are putting the money in, and that is, that is very much appreciated. So we need more jazzed up tourist attractions. Is that it?
Jazz it up. Let
us know what should the Islemen do with tourist attractions. How do we attract tourists to this place outside of Death Race 2000?
I'd be interested to know, of course. Yeah, the TT is the biggie, but we can make that an all-year-round attraction as well. We can make that an all-year-round attraction because, for instance, I went up the grandstand with a group of visitors 2 days ago, and you try and explain, right, this is a start line, this is the grandstand, and this is where the scoreboards were. It's a wreck. There's nothing there to actually celebrate the TT. There's not even a statue. There isn't even like a big board that says, who's the record holder? This is a picture of Joey Dunlop. There's nothing there. And you're just thinking, what's going on? Has anyone got any imagination round here?
I've got some plans for Nobles, but it's more like Karmis and things. But let's see where we can take it. But yeah, I mean, 50 weeks, 48 weeks of the year, that place is empty, and we should find a better use for it. I fully agree.
Oh, there's lots of things you could do at Nobles Park.
So
I'd
many
like
things, so
to
little
see a
time.
plaque on those toilets, like an official apology for what happened 20, 30 years ago, where all those homosexuals got treated like dirt. But there you go. That's another story. We can talk about that another time. I've said enough. I've said enough.
That's it for this episode. We shall see you next time.
Thank you. Goodbye.